The very first Pokémon in the Pokédex, Bulbasaur, is also known as the grass starter Pokémon of Kanto. But Bulbasaur is not only a grass type Pokémon but also a poison type Pokémon. So when the first Pokémon in the Pokédex is a dual type Pokémon, why is not every Pokémon a dual type Pokémon? Therefore, I would like to discuss with you which secondary type the monotype Pokémon could have. But because we have several hundred monotype Pokémon, we will just concentrate on Kanto today. No worries, there are more than enough. My name is Versus, I'm from Germany and I will take you on a journey through the Kanto Pokédex. By the way, we will not fix any type of a dual type Pokémon, this will be part of another video soon. The first monotype Pokémon we can find in the Pokédex are Charmander and Charmeleon. I think both of them should get the dragon type because they evolve into a dragon. Of course Charizard isn't a dragon type Pokémon, but Charizard X is a dragon type Pokémon. Next up is the Squirtle evolution line where I give Squirtle and Wartortle the normal type. Unlike Blastoise, who has steel or metal water cannons on its back, Wartortle and Squirtle have nothing special about them. So normal for Squirtle and Wartortle and steel for Blastoise is a perfect fit in my opinion. The next Pokémon who gains the normal type will be Caterpie, because I mean come on, it's just a bug, it knows Tackle and String Shot and Bug Bite maybe, so it's a bug. But in the case of Metapod, we could actually talk about the Steel type, because after using Harden it is hard like Steel. Rattata and Raticate are already normal type Pokémon, but they will get the ground type as a secondary type. It is simply in the nature of rats to dig holes in the ground. And since Dig is one of the few non-normal type moves Rattata and Raticate can learn in the first Pokémon generation, that should be a perfect fit. The first Pokémon who get a type of the three newer types are Ekans and Arbok. I am definitely not the first person who thinks that Ekans and Arbok should be poisoned and dark type. Bite and Crunch are integral parts of their movesets, they are very intimidating and let's be honest, these are just two dark snakes. In the case of Pikachu and Raichu, I have the same argument as for Rattata and Raticate. They are no rats, but they are mouses who also dig holes and should be ground type Pokémon as well. Sandshrew and Sandslash are already ground type Pokémon, but they will get the poison type. The reason is simple, one of the first moves a Sandshrew has is Poison Sting. Even though it seems weird at first glance, look at Sandslash's back. If these stings are used for Poison Sting, these stings are definitely poisonous, so they should be poison type as well. Talking about ground poison type Pokémon, we must talk about Nidoking and Nidoqueen. Both Nidorans, Nidorino and Nidorina have only the poison type. But I think it makes totally sense that Nidoking and Nidoqueen gain the ground type by using the Moonstone. Therefore it's fine if all of their pre-evolutions are just poison normal type Pokémon. Probably the easiest Pokémon today were Clefairy and Clefable because they were normal types back in Generation 1. With the introduction of the Fairy type they both became pure Fairy types. If we just make them Fairy normal types, the job is done. Another easy choice were Vulpix and Ninetales. Even my former self, the 9-year-old boy who played Pokémon Red and Blue, asked himself why these Pokémon are not Psychic types. For example, the Pokédex entry in Pokémon Crystal says that all of Ninetales have supernatural powers. The next monotype Pokémon are Diglett and Dugtrio. While Diglett can be just a ground normal type Pokémon, Dugtrio should get another type. Especially when we look at the artworks of the first generation, we can see that Dugtrio is a very angry looking Pokémon. If you combine that Gen 1 look with the Gen 9 movesets which contain Sucker Punch and Night Slash as level up moves, I think Dark would be the perfect choice. If we look at Meowth and Persian, one could argue that we could give them the Dark type as well. But because their Alolan forms are already Dark types, I want to give them other types. While Meowth has a metal coin on its head, Persian has a rocky gem on its head. Here I came up with Steel for Meowth and Rock for Persian. And let's be honest, Psyduck and Golduck must be Psychic type Pokémon, or do you have any other ideas? Way angrier than a Dugtrio are definitely Mankeys and Primeapes. Even though I also thought about giving them the normal and ground type, I still think Dark is the best type. I like a lot that the Fighting Dark Primeape would evolve in a Ghost fighting a Lilliape. Growlithe and Arcanine are the next Pokémon and I must confess that was very difficult. And it doesn't matter how long I think about it, I just don't find a good type for them. In the end I decided to go for the normal type for Growlithe and the fighting type for Arcanine because Arcanine learns close combat as one of his signature and most important moves in competitive Pokémon. Once again easy was the secondary type for Poliwhirl and Poliwhirl. While Poliwrath is a fighting type, I think Poliwhirl and Poliwag should be psychic types. I mean, the pattern on their belly is clearly only there to use hypnosis, which is a supernatural ability. Abra, Kadabra and Alakazam are the next example for a super difficult evolution line. In the end I decided to go for a rare combination with Psychic and Fighting. Normal doesn't work for me, I need Dark for another Psychic type, and I think Fighting is okay at least. These three Pokemon could use special Fighting type moves like Focus Blast. The next evolution line is the Machop line. While Machop and Macho can just be normal types, I think Machamp should be a Dark type. I think you need dark powers if you get 2 additional arms after evolving. My next choice is way more serious, with Ponyta and Rapidash becoming fairy types. Since a unicorn Pokemon comes directly from a fairy tale, we have no other choice. And looking at their Galarian variants, which are psychic and fairy types, we can see that we are not too far off. The next Pokemon is once again very easy, which is Seel. Dugong is a water ice type Pokemon and Seel isn't. That makes no sense and never made sense. By the way, it's the same logic with Shellder, which is also only a water type Pokemon, while Cloyster is water ice. It still makes no sense here as well. Hypno's backstory is one of the scariest of all Pokemon. If Hypno and Drowsy are not dark psychic type Pokemon, I'm like Jon Snow, I know nothing. Once again a bit trickier are Grimer and Muk. I mean, Poison makes sense, they are walking slime Pokemon. But I think the only slime that can walk must be a cursed slime. Alolan Grimer and Alolan Muk are dark types, so that works here. To make that work for the classic Grimer and Muk, I would give it the ghost type. The fact that Muk is one of the few non-ghost type Pokemon that can learn Shadow Punch and Shadow Sneak supports that argument. We continue with 2 of my favorite water type Pokemon, which are Krabby and Kingler. Looking at their move pool, we can see that both of them can learn a lot of fighting type moves. Very interesting is that Krabby and Kingler wouldn't be the first fighting type crab Pokemon in existence. I think Voltorb and Electrode are 2 very underrated Pokemon from the first generation. With only a few exceptions, they only learn offensive normal and electric type moves. I think Electric Dark would be awesome as well, because they are very mean looking and they are exploding all the time. But overall I feel that Electric Normal would be the better choice. Cubone and Marowak should be ghost type Pokemon. Honestly, there is no Pokemon in existence that is connected that much to the death. Even real ghost types aren't. Again, easy but maybe a bit boring are Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. Both of them are based on human fighters. If that is no reason for being a fighting normal type Pokemon, I have no idea. Now it's already your turn because we talk about Lickitung. I had not a single good idea for Lickitung. There was no type I was really happy with as a secondary type, so please tell me in the comments down below which should be the second type for it. When you know a bit about Coughing and Weezing, you know they learn a lot of fire type moves, and that is no coincidence. Looking at its trivia and different Pokédex entries, you can see a very interesting thing. Coughing and Weezing love being around burning waste like plastic because they want the gas that is produced that way. That explains their tendency to learn fire type moves, so we make Weezing and Coughing fire type Pokemon. Our next Pokemon, Chansey, will get kind of a stereotypical choice. I don't see a single reason why the helpful and happy Pokemon Chansey shouldn't be a normal fairy type. Do you know how Tangela looks like behind the vines that are hiding its body? I think there is a reason why Tangela hides itself. It's a ghost. And that wouldn't be the first time that Game Freak follows that logic, just think about Mimikyu. I can't help myself, when I think about kangaroos, I always think about kangaroos are fighting with people. So please tell me, is there any flaw in the logic that Kangaskhan, which learns a lot of fighting type moves, should be also a fighting type Pokemon? I still don't understand why Horsea and Seadra are no dragon types. I mean, look at Seadra and look at its name, Seadra, Sea Dragon. Goldeen and Sea King are sadly nothing special. There is nothing I can do for them but giving them the normal type. The next but not the last water type Pokemon we have today is Staryu. Since Starmie is already a psychic type Pokemon and Staryu is not that different from Starmie, we give it a psychic type as well. The next Pokemon is Electabuzz, and here I go with a type that is the wish of many fans. Cross Chop, Low Kick, Low Sweep, Brick Break, Bulk Up, Focus Blast are just a few of many examples of fighting type moves that Electabuzz can learn. Its counterpart Magmar could get the poison type. Magmar uses its mouth not only to breathe fire, but also to exhale smoke. Being able to exhale poisonous smoke makes Magmar a good poison type Pokemon in my opinion. The first time Pinsir, the bug type Pokemon, was able to learn a bug type move by level up was in Generation 4. In Generation 1 to 3, it was only able to learn normal and fighting type moves per level up. Looking at the variety of fighting type moves it can learn, I think fighting would be perfect. The reason that I'm wearing another shirt and that I'm sitting now means that I forgot Tauros. When you combine its level up move pool, which only contains normal psychic and dark type moves, with its nature as being a raging bull, I think the dark type makes the most sense. The next Pokemon is the fan favorite Magikarp. Since already Gyarados has the flying type, which doesn't make too much sense in my opinion, we can just give Magikarp flying as well. But actually that isn't too far off, because Magikarp uses Splash and Bounce to get up in the air and it looks like it's flying. Next I want to talk about two different Pokemon at once, Eevee and Ditto. Even though we only have 8 different evolutions, it makes sense to assume that Eevee and Ditto become actually any type they want. I would make Ditto and Eevee normal Stellar type. I know the Stellar type can only be obtained by using Terrestrialization. But because I'm working on a video that makes the Stellar type a normal Pokemon type, we will just use it here. When talking about Eevee, we must talk about the evolutions Jolteon, Flareon and Vaporeon. Because Eevee is a normal type Pokemon, just give all of them normal as their secondary types. Now we have the first artificial Pokemon, which is Porygon. I think it's kind of weird that the prison can heal itself and use the move Psychic. There must be a reason, and that can only be the Psychic type. Of course we can say that all Pokemon that touch the ground should be ground type Pokemon, but I think it's a bit different for Snorlax. Snorlax is simply being made for being on the ground, and it can use ground type moves like Earthquake or High Horsepower. Unlike Dragonite, Dragonair and Dratini don't have wings. Dratini and Dragonair are clearly sea snakes who are living in the sea. Making them dragon and water type would be no problem at all. Last but not least, we have Mewtwo and Mew. On the one hand, Mewtwo as the evil dark type Pokemon, and on the other hand, the kind-hearted fairy type Pokemon Mew. Please feel free to tell me in the comments down below all of your ideas for secondary types for the Kanto Pokémon. And please let me know if you want to see a second part of that video, which would be a Johto edition. Until then, just subscribe here to never miss a new video again, and click here to see my latest video. Thank you all guys so much for watching. I hope to see everybody of you soon here on my channel at Versus Prime. Goodbye guys.